Hi. Hello. Please give me some time to craft an appropriate apology, and then we'll talk about the sorcerer's apology. But before that, I gotta talk about how awesome I am. This post is the best post anybody's ever written. Have you seen it? Is it? If stuff went viral just because it was well written, I don't think much stuff would go viral, really. But this is the bomb. When people find out, this is good. Okay, when people find out who these people are, not like they're famous, but some of them are well, shit, I don't know who they are, but the fucking shit that I'm saying to them, damn, I will sit on panel with nigger faggot Dave, and I can go hack the Matrix with my brain, and you, Pound you too, you won't even allow me to. Oh God, that was fast. Strange needles, stranger beats down, protless. Now do you still want to claim your lame fag with fame, civil asset claims, privileges? Okay, I will admit that it is a bit inaccessible. However, compared to the gold standard for fucking crazy, which is James Joyce's Ulysses, this is Fisher Price. I would like to point out there's a lot of profanity, you numb fucking cunthead. So you might not want to broadcast this. Yeah, I don't talk like this at Thanksgiving, but basically every other meal. It's shit, fuck, cunt, fuck, bag, fuck. Damn, the audiobook is going to be amazing. They should get, oh God, I don't know, fucking Bugs Bunny.
You can get hold of me on Gmail, azarray@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Azramorphine. That's AZRAAMORPHINE. And, of course, my Instagram is Azarray.
Oh, this is good. This is where I actually use my friend's name. Now, she's gonna sue me. Yeah. That woman is going to sue me. There's just fucking no doubt. The only way she can regain face, God, or even my face, the only way is if she sues me. Now, that's fine because she and her compadre infected me with a biobug that I killed in front of her. And I'd be happy to testify to that, right? And then I'm sure we're gonna work it out. But she's got to be pissed. I am gonna spell it out for you here. Tanny Lee, bitch lips, slip nips, tops, tears at top, peers on peers who peer at the tracks of tears at the top of talent at action, tatted up, Tonka truck, fucking whoremonger and whorekunks, quinkunks denying, whoreman buying, giving away for barely even a fuck at a song away. Oh God. I didn't just come, but she did, and I felt it. Holy shit. Oh, good Christ. I wrote that. Yeah, I had to have been touched by the divine, because a lot of this stuff I don't actually know. And then here, DMM 1 second response, KMM 9 second response. I don't know that I actually verified that myself, right? MMM. Okay, yeah, about MMM. I was a fairly late bloomer in life when I discovered that there was a organization of dudes who ran around the whole world putting up all these symbols that didn't point to anything so that they could distract from the other system of symbols that did point to things. Okay, I should have noticed sooner, but after I fell off my trike and woke up dead, and then wow. So I didn't notice a number of things until I was 19, and then when I was 19, I didn't go to Vietnam. Fuck. That's a real tragedy. Vietnam was a deliberate plan to drive young men of marriageable and breedable age into the jungles where they could be slaughtered and removed from the breeding pool, and they fucking did it. Because they looked at the numbers and said, "Wow, we got too many American boys. Let's just put them right in the wood chipper," and they did. And the same thing happened after 9/11. Everybody signed up. Oh, let's go get Al Qaeda. Yeah. Who's that guy? Pat Tillman. What a fucking bummer that was. That had to have been a demon as an actor. Like there nearly was a Pat. Pat, really? Pat Tillman. A tiller. Like where you go through the. Well, shit. People don't go to fucking 4-H anymore, do they? I didn't either. But Tiller and Miller, TM. Okay, all of these letters mean something in the alphabet, and they don't fucking teach it anywhere Because they don't have to. I mean, they had enough people when I was born at 73. They had enough people who had their shit together that they could get to the moon on a fucking rocket, right? And then they didn't have to use a rocket. They just did it because it was hard. Yeah. Didn't Kennedy say that? We don't do this because it's easy. We do it because it's going to get hurt. Yeah. I won't make any jokes about that. I think it's fairly cruel what that man did. And when I found out how he died and why he died, I knew that my mother's heart would be broken, and it was, because she had a different picture of Mr. Kennedy. She was like, "Oh, I love him." My mother's kind of a dingbat. Oh yeah, and she's dead. She's laughing at me now. She got into a car accident somehow and got a head injury, and then never did quite get a checkup on that. My family has a history of getting shot and then not going to the hospital, shot by whatever. And then I just called my mother a dingbat. Well, I think that it's a fair name. It's actually, for one thing, I know that I love my mother. My mother knows that she loves me. The rest of the world, yeah, you're not so sure. Fuck you, I don't care. That's my mother. And since she had a peculiar sense of humor that has followed her to the grave, she was born in the week of unconventionality, on the day of the dark pragmatist. Well, she's dead, so what's she going to do? Spank me? And then I've never called her dingbat cruelly. I called her a bitch once. Once! Oh, I'll tell that story later. Yeah, she felt terrible, but I was on the phone. I was in bed downstairs. She called me, and I knew right before I said it that I was going to regret it. And I don't. Well, I kind of regret it because she still feels that pain. She didn't say, but later on after she died, she was able to be much more candid about her life and stuff, because I could hear her. Yeah, hi, I'm Michael Guzzi. I heard from the dead. I didn't talk to her. She told me this story, so it's different. I didn't pierce the veil. Are we clear? Yeah, James von Prague was fucking bucking along his 6 shooters. See, the divine has a way of keeping the tongue in check, especially when somebody listens. Anyway, my mother explained to me that when I said that, she felt the coldest fear and dread and horror settle into her bones. Like she was ready to turn into an auto harpy. Okay, but I hung up the phone on my mother. Did I say shut up, you bitch? Oh, it was vicious. Nothing too bad, but it was the first time I had ever said that to her. I've only seen my mother cry once in my life, and she was a Cancer, and she did this at the age of 80 or 79. So I never saw her cry until then. And oh God, it was terrible. Have you ever seen a Cancer cry? Oh Jesus God, they're crabs, right? Crustaceans. And I never understood why would they name an astrological sign after a crab? And then what's that like? Well, they have a tarred, tough outer shell, and inside is the creamy nougat center. And 2 of the Cancer women I know in my life, I've never seen cry. One of them, I don't think Kelly Bartlett is a Cancer, but if she is, that would make sense. And Kelly, what's her Kelly Green? Kelly Green? No. Oh God, Carrie Green. That's not a Cancer. I think she's an HPV. I'm kidding. But if she has that, I'm willing to give it a shot to cure it. Fuck, I'll do anything. Cancers don't usually cry, I think, in front of people. But if they do cry, if they get their hooks in you, like a crab with little claws, if they know that they got you an emotional boxcar, they will, and then it's like you lose control of your body and you have to behave like an automaton. And an evil Cancer will do that to you. That was not my mother. But my mother was she was about to split. Her skin was going to come off, and then she was going to open up like a clamshell, and out would walk out the most evil Cancer in the world. Because if oh God, my mother did not mean to bother me. She meant well. She called me to wake me up to tell me that I needed to do something before. Oh God, whatever. She was kind of okay. Let me explain. At the time, I was 43, living in her house, so she had a fair reason to call me and complain all the time. But for reasons up to and including our family was attacked by carpetbagging fuckheads for the East Coast, and her father died on the day he got his first Social Security check from a massive heart attack when he had it in his hand, probably when he saw how big it was, right? My mother and I had a relationship that continues on to this day. I don't hear from her often. Apparently there's something big going on. I don't know. Is there anything going on? Beekler. Really. Christopher Buechler came down from outer space, talking in a toga and sandals, and walked on water. Did he really? Okay, well, if you saw Christopher Buechler, then that means Jesus did it too, because that's how it works. The secret of the Illuminati is that they do both at once, and then there's a third one that either manifests or something. It depends. They got a bunch of rituals. It's not just the Freemasons that I know their secrets. I don't know their secrets. I actually don't know their secrets. Very important. I'm not a Freemason, but if I knew any, I wouldn't talk about many of them. And then if I know something that I figured out on my own while I was waiting for the goddamn Freemasons to finish their fucking pancake breakfast and then fucking finish stuffing their pigs in the blankets, then I would probably maybe have joined them, right? But my mother never told me about the Freemasons. Never mentioned it. I did ask her briefly when she was paralyzed and soon to die and couldn't walk or talk and was being fed through a tube. I told her about the story where I asked her sister, and she laughed because it was funny. I asked her sister about him when in my late 30s. I said, Auntie blank blank. I didn't say that. I said Auntie blank blank. Auntie blank blank blank. And her name was not Auntie bitch bitch bitch. Although it might as well have been, right? Based on how insistent she was on how people spell it. Guess how many letters? Fucking half of you don't need to fucking guess. The other half would guess correctly because I'm beaming it into your heads right now. I'm not thinking about anything else other than, oh God, not my mother's boobs. Ugh. Oh, okay. So there's this other woman. She's a recreation of my mother in the flesh, in a sense, and she's got these big old tits, and that's cool. They're nice. They're actually very nice. And I haven't ever fondled my mother's tits that I remember, but I did breastfeed. Apparently, I think she stopped at the required age of 15, but that was only in her dreams. I think it was like 4. Well, I asked her and she lied. I mean, there was some weird stuff because I died at 4.5 or whatever when I fell off the tricycle. By the way, have you noticed this story is skipping around a little bit? Yeah, that's because it's supposed to. Consider it a distributed oral history thing, right? Point is, my mother never told me about them. She did clearly concern herself a great deal with the death of President Kennedy. And it was that question that I occupied my time with the very first time I got on the internet, for real, when I was 19. And while I was looking up, there was no Google. Did I use Alta Vista? I think so. It's like 92 or 93. Some of you will remember getting on the internet earlier than 1992, 93. But I was a latecomer to a lot of experiences in life. For example, I'm friends with Tubal Cain. Have you ever met him? You don't want to meet him. He's a serious fucker. Okay? He likes me. Genuinely. He says he likes my style. He thinks I do it with calm and assured grace that he is remarkably impressed by. And he doesn't want me to go any further because I'm starting to make him sound like a pussy. You don't want to insult him, man. No. Jesus Christ, big fucking pussy, which is fine. You know, a person is what they eat. I'm sure Jesus Christ got laid a lot. Oh, goodness. And then he got hung on a tree. So, I think that a person should think carefully about becoming a Christian, right? Because which kind of Christian are you? Because technically, Tubal Cain is Christ right now. Technically, well, okay, excuse me. Tubal Cain is Christ right now. Yeah, it's a title. It means who's running the show. I would go with Tubal over One Ball. Although whichever one's showing up, I would listen. Yeah. I'm not going to explain where I met these gentlemen. Oh, Christ, Jesus Christ. Yeah, right. God, what a bunch of fucking. They take the Judas goat and they wind him up, and he goes running off, and then he's the scapegoat. That's Jesus, and then Tubal Cain is behind that. TK, CK, JC, JB, Jew boy. All these letters mean something, and a lot of times people will learn them in Sunday school. Oh, Sunday. Where's Daughter Day? What day is that? I don't know, but that's what I want to have. God, oh God, I want to get laid. Not right now though. I'm busy working. I have to stop thinking about sex while I'm talking about One Ball, Two Ball Cain. 3 pyramids and Jesus. Okay, never mind. I learned this stuff on my own by just talking to God. You know God. You've heard of God. I'm sure you have. Yeah. Monotheism. It's been around a while. There is a God. There is God. God is. I happen to love God. I don't love God quite as much as I love Tubal Cain. Because for one thing, Tubal Cain is man, and God is God. And I don't think Tubal Cain is going to get to be God for a while. Just a hunch. If anybody could become God, well, you wouldn't need me then, could you? You just go get him and say, hey, we want you to be God, and since we're in charge, here's the hat, here's the booties. All right, now that you're God, do something about this koozie kid. And then he'd, I don't know, they'd probably wonder what happened to him so fast. Like I said, Tubal Cain likes me. He doesn't like me too much. He's not gonna take warm showers with me. He's not gonna pull me down or put me on a tree. He keeps a wide fucking berth. I'll tell you what. I mean, I don't expect Tubal Cain to walk up to my door. He is a smart, intelligently clever, self-designed man. I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I've never seen him in the flesh. I know that just as Jesus Christ is a man, Tubal Cain is a man. I don't have any doubt. Okay? Now, a lot of you people who heard this story, probably word for word, they fucking probably just copied it right now and fucking sent it back in time. These goddamn Masons will steal anything. And you heard a story and it was told to you in a particular way, in a particular fashion. A lot of times people tell these stories and they do it in the way they learned it when they first heard it, like the alphabet song. To this day, if I sing the alphabet song, it's the same way that I sang it when I was a kid. And that's because humans are basically over-glorified wind-up ping-pong balls with a few flashing lights. Humans are robots. Hi, you're a human. Yeah, you're animated by soul. You're driving the robot. Let's not call it a robot. You're driving the meat suit. You ever seen Metropolis? God. By the way, I need to apologize to Donna. I'm sorry, by the way. Yeah, we're making up for it, but I'm sorry it took so long. All right. So we were going to watch Metropolis, and we didn't. We just got stoned and had sex instead, because that's all we did was fornicate, right? I heard my stories about these letters and these numbers. Oh, shit, numbers. I haven't even read numbers yet. I didn't just find out about the Bible. I found out about the Bible early and said, fuck that, I'm just going to wander around until I find God, and then ask. And that might sound like a cheeky thing for a 3-year-old to say, but I'm pretty sure I could have said that then. And these days, I don't know which Bible to piss on first, frankly. How many different Bibles are there out there? Most recently, I saw 5 Bibles. One of them was orange and printed in fucking Orange County in 1982 or some shit. And this Bible was a book that this woman considered sacred and holy and held with reverence with 4 other Bibles. And I was like, holy fuck. They aren't kidding about that fractured consciousness. The stuff that's been done to religion on this planet, well, you should compare it to some other things. And I don't expect most people to be able to get away with living to the age of 50 and then do what I'm doing. No. Well, now that I've done it once, it'll probably be on the VR release for the home game. But I did not know that this was the kind of shit that I was going to be doing when I got up today or in my life. And then the last week or so has been, damn. One of these days, the fucking holodeck door is going to appear when I say that. Yeah. I'm supposed to say arch, but I can't say that because that's copyrighted. Obviously, if I had access to the real holodeck and I was on a holodeck, they'd tell me and I'd have permission, right? But if I were trapped in their holodeck and I didn't have the rights and I was just like going through a dream, one of them lucid dreams, and I just landed on the holodeck, not the surprise entry, NCC 824669, beam me up, Scotty, into her pants. Let's say I'm on that one, okay? They didn't have just one holodeck, did they? Or did they? Shit, I don't know. I'm not much of a Trekkie anymore because they broke my heart with the ablative armor. God. So I don't have certain powers that a person might expect for a man in my position, but I do have a very important power. I'm not going to get fucking shot for being blasphemous. Most of the things I've said, people think pretty funny. I think they're fucking hilarious mostly, except for the one about my mother. That's such a sad story because she didn't realize what she's saying. And this is the best part. I barely got my apology to my mother out like 1/3 of the way. It was like blubbering, saying, "Oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry." That's how it started to come out when I ran up the stairs. She interrupted my apology to apologize to me because she realized she had pushed it too far. Because she didn't need to. Jesus Christ, she did not need to call me to wake me up, to remind me to do the thing that I was taking a nap to fucking do, to get some sleep, right? I mean, she didn't need to. She knew that she didn't, but like I said, she was, number one, she was a dingbat. Number two, there's a phenomenon called learned helplessness. And growing up with that shrew of a sister that she has. Oh, I'm sure that at a very young age, she learned to play dead fast. And that woman is a holy terror. I don't know if she's alive or dead, and it doesn't matter either way. She's twice as evil than the day before either way. Now, thankfully, I've made my peace with that woman. And the war between my mother and her sister continues on beyond the laws of space and time as we know them. They got a struggle going on. My mother and my father, my mother and her sister, my mother and basically anyone at all. Because when she died, she was able to realize, holy shit, those fucking carpetbaggers, they killed me. They did. They tried to. Or they did kill her, and then she came back to life with half a brain. And the same fucking thing happened to me in 2010. I was the target of a hit involving a car. I guess there's this thing these black magic fuckers do where they think they're so cool. They duplicate the same trick over and over and over. After a trick is done, after an Illuminati trick is done, after the first 3 times, it's buried in the it's in the Matrix. It's in the Akashic record. It's in the fabric of the tapestry of life. Am I going too fast? Are you keeping up with this? Are you listening? Hello, Beekler. Oh, he wants to answer, but he's too far away already. A lot of times people will come to Earth and they won't hang out long. I'm not surprised. This place is a fucking shithole. And if a person does some sort of a thing where they come in and they get a whole bunch of attention and they got to flee because people were like, hey, what? Is that Christopher Beekler? He owes me $30. He said he'd give me a... they'll sort of panic. You wouldn't want anybody to get lynched these days. I don't think they've had a good lynching for a while, unless you count the ones in everywhere else but here. And when I say here, I mean the United States of America, where I believe I'm standing. Fuck, I better be. If I'm not in the United States of America, I'm due for a cornholing with my lips real fast. There's a number of people who are not down with the joke. For example, there's a number of people who live on the continent of Africa. They do not understand what I'm saying. They don't know me. And they are challenged by the translations of what I'm saying over to whatever the fucking language is over there. They got like 40,000 languages, separate, distinct ones. I mean, separate and distinct. I mean, it's basically the order in which they chew gum. But I don't think that they know that yet. And then I'm not making fun of such people, but sometimes people are real sensitive and they don't quite get it at first. And in my case, nobody gets me yet. I've got people that I love. They're currently terrified, wondering what the fuck. Because, let me say it again. I'm going to spell it out for you here. Tammy Lee bitch lip slip slip. Tammy Lee bitch lips slip tips. Lips slip tips. I don't even know what that one is. Lips slip tips. It's hard to say, isn't it? Yeah. However, when that woman, and she is a woman, she was when I saw her last, when she reads that, I mean, she can read and she can write. So one wonders where all the fucking postcards went, right? She did not feel good about being called Tammy Lee Bitch Lips. Tammy Lee Bitch Lips. Yeah, I mean, it's better than Loretta Swit got, I think. Loretta Swit. What an unfortunate last name. Similarly, Ms. Tammy Lee, it was not wise to call me a twit. No, it really wasn't. And I'm not going to say we're even, because you're a woman. We're not even. I owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude. Oh shit, there's her ghost. Tremendous debt of gratitude. Gratitude. Yeah, she's coming through already. She is ready to take on the role that my mother was ready to do when I told my mother to shut up, you fat cunt. Now, I never said that to my mother. That would have been way too... she would have run downstairs and killed me. No, she would have instantaneously, spontaneously combusted. That a person goes up in like less than a third of a second if that happens. My mother was fat until they installed a feeding tube in her stomach. So one wonders why they didn't do that earlier. And my mother was called by her sister the name Fatty. Ugh! I can barely imagine how my mother kept from strangling her. Oh, she just said it was very hard. I can't believe that woman got to be as old as she did before. I don't know what the hell happened, because after COVID, I mean, I just gave up on that entire side of the family. And I didn't realize that they were spawned by carpetbaggers who came in and arranged for my father or grandfather to be removed. They messed with my grandfather's children. He had two girls. One of them ended up marrying the guy after spawning 2 kids with some other guy. And I don't want to say they're all carpetbaggers, but the ones that came out here, they were sent. It was part of a turf war. My grandfather's name was Miller. They were Bellingham royalty. They were well, I don't know all the code phrases, but I do know they were kind of a big deal. And I do know that I did not tell anybody any of this till fairly recently. I'm not even telling anybody now. I'm just standing in my house. Well, it's my mommy's lawyer's trust house, or my mommy's trust's lawyer's house. I think. I don't know. But the last time I heard, it was owned by a guy that I trust. I haven't broken that trust. I trust that man. He trusts me too. And the last time I saw him, he was still the same guy that I met when I needed to have somebody in that role. After the carpetbaggers who had lied to my mother and said, "Oh yeah, we'll help. Yeah, we'll watch over." They agreed. They broke the agreement, because when you say that and then you find out that I'm actually not stupid and I don't particularly find myself to be very vulnerable to any black magic spells that are going to turn me into a walking, talking puppet, I think they thought I was just some sort of retard, or I was perhaps autist. I'm not really autistic, although hard to say these days. A lot of the humans that have been breathing the air kind of develop a little bit of it. But they didn't tell me about the Freemasons either. And my mother didn't tell me about Freemasonry. Nobody, not once, not a breath, not a sigh, not a whisper of the existence of the monolithic conspiracy organization that once existed, that took over the lodge system back in whatever fucking year it was. I don't know. Did you know that Star Wars is a metaphor for the struggle between black and white in the... Tubal Cain says I should shut up now, and I will. Yeah, I would listen. He has never told me to shut up before, but he's very clear. I don't know if any of you can hear him. And then it's not a voice. I've heard from Jesus once in a while, but not heard. I've heard perhaps Tubal Cain once. Once I was sleeping and my father yelled downstairs, and I was having a dream, and I knew I was in a dream, and I said to myself, "That's my father." And I heard the voice that I heard in the dream said, "Michael, get upstairs, come upstairs," like immediately. It didn't sound like that, but it was. I'm pretty sure that was Tubal Cain, because my father didn't have a father after he was killed by the Soviet Red Army contingent that swept into his peasant village. And, well, let's just say I didn't hear much more about my dad and his father, chronologically speaking, from that point forward. Typically when the press gang and the rape gang and the conscription gang, they all come into the village at the same time, it generally means that they thought of that ahead of time, what they were going to do. And then my father didn't really want to talk about that with me, given that he didn't tell me about Freemasonry either. And I can be damn skippy sure he heard of him. He was a tradesman. So all of these things that a lot of you people out there, I bet you whistle tunelessly about all of it. Just think it's just part of your bread and butter. It's just the world you inhabit. Pancakes and fucking whores and making money off of them and laughing it up. And what else do you do? And what else do you do? Wait, you train girls to play softball. Yeah. What else do you do? You don't have any chess tournaments, do you? No? Huh. So I like to play chess. How many of you do like to play chess? Yeah. Well, I think there's maybe 3 people on the planet left, and they all play with me begrudgingly, because it's not as much fun to play with me as one might think over the internet. I guess if a person is playing with me at all, it means they want to get advantage off of me. And these days, I want people to get advantage off of me. After all, I'm friends with Tubal Cain. Like, if he was here in the flesh, we would drink. We would have a good time. I would say no thank you to the leg of lamb. I would say, I'll try your bacon. Yeah. I would say no to the blowfish. I would say yes to the sushi. And I would say, oh, that's sashimi? Really? Why is it wiggling? And then he would laugh. That would be the relationship I have with Tubal Cain. We wouldn't talk about religion and shit, because that is not at all the kind of man that Tubal Cain is now. I don't know what the fuck he's been doing since back in the day, long back in the day. But it's none of my business. And when I was born, my parents were 38. They had a lovely life before I was born, and they didn't tell me about it. Like, wasn't my business. Wasn't my business at all. They thought, right? Part of it was my business, but okay. Remember, mother hit by a car that was planning on taking her out, and then I was hit by a car that was planning on taking me out. I didn't know that was the case until years later. And then I'm not entirely sure, but the guy, I saw him, and I thought to myself, is that guy looking at his cell phone thinking about when it's going to be time to turn so that he can kill me? No way. And then he fucking turned, and I said, oh my God, I didn't have time to put it together, but yeah, they wanted to take me out. And when I say they, I don't know who, but they either succeeded or failed. And both myself and my mother underwent this fate. She did not have the same kind of experience I did. I had a brief gap in my memory of consciousness where I probably reinserted myself into the time stream after I turned left and died, and then decided to come right back because, well, I didn't want to die. And then everybody can come back from a death if they want to. If they know, I mean, it depends on the kind of death. People don't really know what's going to happen on their death. I happen to know because I've been killed a whole bunch of times. It's not fun. I don't like it. No. I don't want to boast, right? It's not like it's a big deal, right? It was my fate to relive that experience so I could understand my mother better. And that didn't happen until 2010. Before that, I didn't need to understand my mother. And then basically, I probably should have understood my mother a lot sooner if I had known that the carpetbaggers were involved in various nefarious activities, which is why they wanted to infiltrate my grandfather's family, the Millers, Bellingham royalty of a stripe. I don't know if it's Bellingham royalty, Custer royalty, Custer. I mean, no, not custard pie, Custer, Washington. Yeah, do you know David Blaine? I don't know him, but there's a town called Blaine up by there. I never got to spend any time in Bellingham with my mother because we never went there together. That's odd. I mean, we drove through a few times, but my mother didn't go back up there much. She had mixed feelings about the area because clearly what happened was a Thuggy Piggy strike gang came and took out my mother, tried to, right where they said that I saw a flash of electricity, and then they married off the aunt, who my aunt married her off to this guy, and then married her off to a guy, and so she got two babies, and then took them away, and then now they're doing whatever they're doing because I haven't talked to them in a long time, and I don't believe I'm going to, because when a person hires a lawyer and says, we gotta break that trust that we agreed we'd help with, we're gonna help him by hiring a lawyer and then destroying it, she said. She must have. I don't actually know that for sure, but I do know that I can't talk to them. I've tried a couple times. I've attempted, I think 3 times, and that's it. Because the reality is that if they did that, if they hired a lawyer, they're still up in it to their fucking eyeballs, no doubt. Because there have been some questions about the legitimacy of the special needs trust for my mother, as well as the special needs trust for me. I don't know how many trusts there are. I know there's 3 estates. I know I'm not a 5th column, right? I'm not trying to do anything funny. When I say that Tubal Cain is my friend, that's an indication that he thinks what's going on these days with my thing is funny enough to come down from wherever that fucking person goes when they are Tubal Cain and they're not here anymore, and like observe. Maybe he's on Mount Olympus. I don't know. I'm not going to ask Tubal Cain questions. No. That's not how it works. If I start asking dead people things, hello, is this Cher? Oh, you sound just like her. Oh, you're her guardian angel. Oh, wow. Oh, that's funny. You look so old. I don't do that. I don't question the dead. If I were going to, there's a procedure to get that going. You go, hello, can the dead come out and talk? No? Okay. I'll whisper. I don't know much about it because I don't want to talk to the dead. But everybody can hear and listen throughout their life. And I didn't have any friends at all until Tubal Cain, pretty much. That guy's a friend. I'm sure that he's my friend. I mean, if I ever betrayed him, I'm sure he'd probably kill me immediately and then question me from beyond the grave. I don't know what the fuck. I'm sure he's into necromancy, all that kinds of shit. Every fucking perverted thing that is in the world that we're not supposed to deal with. I'm sure that Tubal Cain has had time to check it out. Yeah. Isn't he the one who lost the ball and grew it back or some shit? I'm not going to ask him. Hello, friend. Hi, I want to ask you some questions about your testicle. No, it's not going to happen. But the guy is my friend. And he's sure as shit more of a friend to me than my cousin, whichever one you mean, or my mother's sister, or my mother's sister's husband, or my mother's sister's other husband. They don't talk to me. And I didn't find out until I was in my late 40s that when I was born, there was a request from whoever the hell was up and living in the Bellingham area where the Clifford Miller, sorry, that was my grandfather's name, Clifford Miller. There was a request to see me. Like they would say, can we come see the baby? And apparently that request was denied. And I would imagine that that was my mother's choice, because I don't think my father would have. Well, I don't know. They didn't tell me jack or shit, and they still haven't. And now they can't. They're barred from conversation with me because they did something brilliant. They signed a legal document that said, "We promised to help him, and here's how we were going to do it." And then they filed that with the court, and then they waited. They got into their spider hole, and they said, "Gee, okay, as soon as she's dead, then we can get him." Because they were assuming that she must have been animating my body, and I was some old boyfriend of hers. Because sometimes I'd sit around and just be sleeping. And I think that this carpetbagger family, I think that since they're vampires, they probably didn't understand human nocturnal cycles. And then I used to sleep a lot all the time whenever I wanted to, because I was tired. And at some point I discovered that the reason why I was so tired is because my nose didn't work, right? It wasn't because I had drunk too much or drunk too early or smoked weed. Oh my God. No, it was because I couldn't fucking breathe. And this happened when I was 5. And now I can breathe. I still need a third surgery. And I may have to sue these people I'm talking about, which is kind of awkward since I'm going to put this conversation to bed in about an hour and a half. Sometimes I feel like talking. And today, of all days, I would love to talk about the goddamn carpetbaggers that came and killed my grandfather, drove his wife insane, had my mother hit by a car that messed her up, and convinced the youngest daughter to breed with a carpetbagging family from back east and to act like a real asshole and to dismiss me out of hand, to call her sister fatty, to get her teeth pulled at age 19 and replace them with dentures, which, I can see some quality reasons to do that. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm insulting the woman or that I'm violating her privacy. Believe me, I don't think anybody on the planet is going to be unaware of what these people have done at some point. So it's probably best that I jump out ahead of that and say that I was old enough to know the most likely story when she told me that she had all her teeth pulled out at 19 and then she had dentures. She said, "Michael, I've been..." Now, she may have been joking. She may have been serious. She probably thought that she was humoring me. Ooh, did you hear that? I think she just killed herself with a fusion bomb. These stories are not going to be pleasant for them, right? Because they're a little embarrassing. Because when I said, "Anti-MMM, Ni-G," or no, "Anti-MMG, Ni-M," she pops out of my grandfather's twat, and they name her 3 names that start with an M. They don't tell me about Freemasonry. At all. Nobody. Not a word. They grow me up in a town. They move me to a town that's one of them thuggy piggy pigs in the blanket raisin towns where all the kids are cops and you just don't know it. It's like a model town, but it's like Eureka, except they're all thugs and bullies in training. I won't say the name of that town either. Michael Clifford Kuzi. Make sure you spell that right. K-U-C as in chimera, Z as in Zeus, and I as in I am one badass motherfucker, because I grew up with these fucking bullies my whole life. And Tubal Cain just came and told me to mind the puddle. And then he said, "Stop talking about whatever the fuck I was talking about before." I don't even remember what I was just talking about. It was like 5 minutes ago. Whatever it was. Oh, it was some Mason thing. Yeah. He said I was getting too close to something, and he came to gently warn me off, and also to see if he could. Now he's asking me to tell a joke about him that's not very flattering, and I said, "Sir, are you sure?" And when I say said, I meant it was in my head. Like, I'm speaking to you now. Hello. Hi. ABJBT, JBT, baby J. Oh, wow. I just learned how to speak in tongues. Hey, fancy that, Kirsten. Why don't you hang on to that enchanted sapphire a little bit more? Kirsten Ann. That woman I don't need to worry about. I can say whatever the fuck I want about her. That's not even her real name. It's not Kirstie Alley either. Anyway, she and I have made up. She doesn't like being insulted. Nobody likes being insulted in public, right? That's why when she hears this, she can sit cross-legged on the floor of her swamp den or wherever the fuck she sits, and she can alternate rocking back and forth between crying and laughing, like many people do when they're in a high-security psychiatric hospital wearing one of them Snuggie jackets. I don't think calling it a straitjacket is good right now. I don't think that woman's going to have to get into a straitjacket because I cured her of her, whatever the fuck it was that was living in her. I've since talked to her since the first time I talked to her and said, let's get married. No, I didn't say that. I said, no, it's German. I just made it up. Anyway, I'm friends with her again. I'm not romantic friends. There's no chance. There's no chance that I can do that. She's a bit older than she appears and says, and then when I saw her last, and then the meat suit that she was driving when she thought she was going to run game on me. Ha! She, I don't know if she has that one anymore. And then I don't know if, as a living example of the Nosferatu, she's allowed to admit that she's a fucking demon, vampire, blood queen. What's the opposite of a Jew boy? I don't know. I don't make too many Jewish jokes about stuff that I don't. I am circumcised myself, right? But I don't think that's right. And then I've made my peace with the Jewish people as well. I do call him Jew boy, the leader of the Jews. There's two of them now. There's one's a king, and then the other one's Jew boy. I know them both. If there's another Jew that is, in a different category, I'm sure I haven't met him yet. But when I get there, I bet he'll have heard of me. Right? There's not many people like me at all, and largely because they've all been killed at this point. A lot of them got killed earlier than today. I don't know how many were left as of today, but probably, I think 132 or something. I don't know. I think they culled them down pretty quick because a lot of them at this point are just degenerate copies of clones of my father's DNA and my mother's DNA that's all mixed up cattywampus because these fungal spore aliens came to some planets in the Earth realm and replaced the population with bugmen. If you haven't seen one, don't worry. You would have seen one by now if they were there. And if you ever run into a woman who gives you something to smoke and says it's weed, and then you find yourself grappling with a biobug skid around your head. Okay, now don't panic, because that shit can happen. And then if it's, hang on, what was her name again? Hang on. Yeah, that's partially why I'm saying this. You are either being held at the actual point of a literal gun and being forced to destroy your own financial empire by dismantling it by your very own hands, brick by shitty bricks and bats and bricks and batsman. Batman's bat beating down the door of the third eye of Zeus. Okay, that's something else. I wrote that, though. I love writing. You can say, Tammy Lee bitch lips slips tips. Tammy Lee bitch lips slip tips. I'm going to practice this. I might become a rap god. Why not? I don't want to become a real god. Just 10 minutes of my shift today tells me I don't want to be God. I didn't think I did. I don't think I am. I certainly wasn't necessarily before because I don't think God feels the dawning power of the crown of command materializing and says, what the fuck? No, I got to go. Yeah, I don't think that happens to God. But if it did, I'm pretty sure God could handle it because I would imagine that happens quite often on days like this. What day is it? Jesus. They should make an iPhone where instead of you call it Siri, it's Jesus. You say, Jesus, what time is it? And then he, yeah, that's not a funny joke. Instead, okay, it's not fair to make fun of Jesus because he's been the butt of jokes for years, many, and I think he deserves a break from that, honestly. But I've never been a Christian for very long. I have been a Christian for a bit. I love Christianity. I love Jesus Christ. He and I were friends long before Two Volcano ever showed up, since the 90s. Okay, a lot of people can't say that, and a lot of people don't have the experience of growing up alone with no friends and no one to talk to, and talked out loud to both God and Jesus and attempted to distinguish between the two using rudimentary forms of imaginary telepathy because they were that bored and nobody wanted to have sex with me. Typically, typically a human will do this kind of thing They will practice talking to God by having sex, and they'll say things like, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." I didn't get to do enough of that ever. So sadly, it's not going to happen tonight either. Wow, really distracting. I've been. I think that the technical word is fucked off and alone for a year and a half. It's not fun. And do you hear that beeping? That beeping is an echolocation security system making sure that I'm not getting teleported away. Because apparently there's things that can do that now, right? Apparently sometimes people will just disappear. You turn your head and they're gone. Well, shit. I thought that Scotty had to get a lock on him. I thought I had to go. Apparently not. Okay. Apparently there are beings that can take you right out of the picture. Well, take you out of the picture. They can't take me out of the picture because I don't want that to happen. And I have experienced something similar in days of yore that made it so that I wasn't too worried about getting teleported away. Also, I discovered in 2021 that a cell phone can do that. Right in the camera. They can suck you right in through the lens. Just like in Tron. Yeah, they got that now. Well, no, they don't have it anymore. I think that's been shut down. I think it depends on which neighborhood you're in and what day of the week it is and what planet you're on that's called Earth, right? I'm not sure what the deal is. I don't know if they're going to keep on doing it, but I definitely had the experience of wondering what the fuck was going on and then discovering, oh, they have a Matrix now. I did not immediately run to my YouTube show and start talking about how I discovered this. I just kind of wandered through life and noticed that shit could happen. And then I tried to relax and not worry about it. But I suddenly became aware why people were putting tape over their cameras. And it wasn't just there's a lot of reasons actually. I don't like the way I don't like the way a computer can analyze your iris size, your pupil dilated, and monitor what words on the screen you're looking at and instantly determine your temperature and your galvanic signal response and all kinds of shit just by looking through your camera. It doesn't even have to be a nice camera. You don't need to have a motion sensor on the back of the thing with you put your finger on it to get your pulse beat. Oh no. They can get that from the moon with a camera. But it requires a certain amount of software. And the software is getting better and better, and the phones are getting faster and faster. And today, when I went viral on 7 different planets all at once, my phone started to get a little sluggish because it had to suddenly do a whole lot more work than it usually did. And fortunately, I've encountered this kind of a phenomenon before, so I'm not freaking the fuck out. And then I guess did something happen? Did they find my driver's license at the scene of a crime or some shit? I don't know. Nobody's told me yet, and I'm not going to. Tubal Cain says I'm not going to tell me. I'm not going to. Okay. I don't want to. I don't want to quote the man. It sounds a little weird, right? I don't usually have the guy on duty telling me shit, but he apparently thought he'd pop by and be my friend for a day because I guess he usually can't. I guess he scares everybody else away. Apparently he had a falling out with Jesus. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. I guess maybe they were fighting over the last jug of fucking pancake syrup at the goddamn celestial pancake breakfast. Could be. I bet I would be fighting about that too. Bring on the pigs and blankets. I know it's a metaphor, fucker. You know, I would say that. I don't have a lot of reverence for these people. So I never heard of Freemasonry ever until I was looking up who killed John F. Kennedy. This was in the 90s, and it wasn't a very easy thing to search for because I didn't know how to search. I knew that the internet was going to know who I was. I knew that the computers at the time were a little bit more advanced than people might be aware. I knew that everything that a person does on the internet, everything is forever. There is no erasing. There is no losing. There is no nothing. I knew that somewhere, someday, there was going to be a big database in the sky, and that would be God's database. And that one would know that the very first question that I wanted to ask the internet was, how do I get in our pants? Maybe. I think so. I'm not really sure. Very first question. I didn't have access to the internet until later. So when I was thinking about trying to get in somebody's pants, I had to go to the library and check out a book. And then I didn't want to check out The Joy of Sex, but I took it down off the shelf and I retreated to a quiet corner of the library and I read that fucker cover to cover because I knew it was time. well, no, not him, but I knew that it was going to be something I want to know, because I didn't know about masturbating until I accidentally found out about it in age 14 or age 15. It was after I said to my mother, "Gee, wow, what, do you smell that?" And she said, "No." And I don't know if she was telling the truth or not. She might have been being polite, right? But I had heard of the phenomenon. I had heard of the phenomenon of puberty, and I wondered what would happen. And various people observed various effects. In my case, I didn't notice much until one time I was sleeping, and I woke up. And I thought, "What the fuck is that smell? Holy shit, is that me?" Yeah, that's when my sebaceous system turns on. It doesn't start out working, and then all of a sudden it just does. And then I'm like, wow, I guess, okay. So I no longer had any questions about what that would be like. Are the people going to notice? Does it smell bad? Well, some people think that it's a little strong, but don't worry, the experience will fade away soon. And it did. Within a week or so, I wouldn't just casually walk by an open window and say, "Ah!" Right? Because puberty, boy sweat. You know, if you've ever been around a prepubescent child, a boy, and then you live with that child, and then at some point they start to stink. And apparently it can be pretty devastating to some. I remember I accidentally insulted a kid at YMCA daycare. Robbie. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to. They warned me about him. He had a problem with incontinence. Totally reasonable for a guy named Robbie. And I didn't think of it real clearly, because I think I was 9 or 10 when they mentioned it. And it wasn't like it was something. It wasn't like a big deal, but she did want to mention it because apparently this kid ate a whole asparagus farm one night when he turned into a werewolf, and they needed to keep him separate from the other kids because this kid's piss was. And I didn't mean to insult him, but I did, and that was the end of the friendship. And if I ever saw him again, I'm sure. I mean, shit, that was 40 years ago. I'm sure he still remembers it. Yeah, I was cold and callous and heartless, and I laughed, and I didn't know what I was doing, and that was friendship over, done. I mean, we were cordial. I think I never saw him again. Right? We were playing and horsing around under the air hockey table in an enclosed space. We were hiding under the table. No, what were we playing? Hide and seek? I don't know. The kind of games that 10-year-old boys play when they're coming home from Catholic catechism school. No, didn't go there. The kind of games that they play when they're Cub Scouts. No, because there's different kinds of scouts. It just so happened that there was an air hockey table and a small portable house. They called them portables, which meant I guess they put them on flatbed trucks, so that after one of the werewolves that they're treating to socialize accidentally eats one of the children, they can just pick up the crime scene and take it away without any muss or fuss. Because I would imagine that the Young Men's Christian Association would have the occasional not vampire, but werewolf child. Is that what they call them? I think so. I don't know. I've only met a few, but there's another name for the other kin. I can't remember. But this is the thing that's happened in recent years. People are starting to notice these phenomenon are not just stories. Like there's a story, asparagus. That's the story. In reality, the fact that I can smell asparagus when it comes out in the urine might indicate that I have some genetic lineage with, I don't know, dogmen? I don't know. I know that I don't have a history of vampirism, although I have seen it done and performed for years, like with my mother's sister. But I think she was turned into a vampire. I'm not sure. But anyway, this kid, he didn't like it. I could tell. And I don't know if they were putting the boys together to find out which one was a vampire and which was a werewolf or whatever, but there's definitely a sorting system that used to happen. And in my case, the sorting system was, don't tell him about Freemasonry. Why bother? Why even bother telling the kid whose IQ was 176, supposedly, tested at age 3, who taught himself to read by age 5, and was smart enough to figure out real quick that there wasn't any reason in going to college. No. I literally didn't want to go at all, but I figured that would be even more suspicious, so I went for a little while and then politely dropped out and went to work at a Pizza Hut. My hand to God. I did this on purpose because I knew there was no fucking reason I needed to be going there. Oh, God, there were girls there too. Unfortunately, I could not play well with those girls, and I couldn't play with anybody after high school. There was a sorting event. Really, all of life is just a series of initiatory experiences that some people succeed brilliantly at, since they grew up in a family where every male member of their lineage has performed the same goddamn ceremony at the age of 17 since fucking thousands of years before Christ. Do you ever wonder why they call it a bat mitzvah and a bar mitzvah? Do you ever wonder? Well, if you haven't wondered already, don't start now. Don't think about the Nosferatu on my account. Okay. But werewolves, I would absolutely love to be a werewolf much more than a vampire, if I had a choice. And then imagine that a lot of people would fucking choose to be a fucking vampire or a werewolf rather than have to go work in a cubicle. I don't know about you, if you've ever worked in a cubicle. After Pizza Hut and various things, became an office temp worker. Probably would prefer walking the Maginot line at 3 a.m. working at a cubicle. Yeah. But a lot of people have a job and they don't like that. And if you said to them, "Hey, you want to get infected by a disease that makes you can turn into a wolf and you can run around and have a pack mate and follow their urine to the places where they have their home bases and then fight for dominance with the other alphas and then mate with the dog of your dreams and have puppies, and you don't have to be a dog all the time. You can turn into a guy and have thumbs and open doors for women." I think the vast majority of people who are alive today would say, "Are you serious?" Yeah, because that actually is the case. There is such a thing. There's a number of different implementations. I don't know about wild werewolves. You'd have to talk to the Native American peoples. There are certainly women and men who are born that way. I've met a couple, and I never understood why I was exposed to such peak experiences at all. But basically, it's because I'm a nice guy. I really am. I'm really nice. And if you gave me a werewolf and told me, "Don't tell anybody," I would keep that secret to the day that I died. That's why when they did give me a dog, a fucked up one too, they didn't tell me, "Hey, this is a man pretending to be a dog." So I very politely did not tell them, "Why the fuck are you lying to me about that? That's obviously a man. They just told me to keep quiet." I mean, I don't think they were kind of scared. They were kind of nervous. They just they showed up in a swarm. "Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, we live there." They all showed up at the same time. And this one woman who, kind of cute actually, but she said, "I found this dog. We can't take care of him. Can you take him?" They found this dog. Okay, sure. I gave it like a day and a half, and then I was like, "Okay, you gotta go, kid." And it wasn't like kid, but the dog was not a dog, right? And I did not have any problems with the dog, although perhaps the man inside the dog, I'm not sure. Nobody ever gave me the lexicon here, right? But I was definitely presented with a creature and told to take it into my home, to which I said politely, "Okay." And I gave it a fair shot, and I didn't think it was going to work out because, number one, I don't like picking up poop. However, if a dog and I were in love, I would pick up that dog's poop. Oh yeah, no problem. And then if a dog and I were in love, the dog would know where to shit, because I would only be in love with a dog if I could talk to it with my brain, because they're supposed to be able to do that. They're supposed to know you intuitively. And if the dog is pooping places where it's a pain in the ass to pick it up, perhaps the dog isn't trained well, or perhaps the dog is sending you a message, or perhaps it's a Native American shaman who's trying to look like a dog and then is trying to cast some sort of spell that involves particular placements of poop around the properties to draw a pentagram. I don't fucking know what's possible, but I do know there are people who can look like dogs, and there are people who can become dogs, and then there are wolves who have been wolves, and they will pick whatever damn fucking form they feel like it. They are not men, they are wolves, and they can go back and forth, perhaps. I don't know. That's the deal. And then the myth of a werewolf, silver bullet, full moon, all that bullshit. That's a story. Okay. In reality, there's a number of technologies employed on the planet Earth. Hi, I'm Michael Kuzi. I know about shit. I never thought that there wanted to be a person who was able to be capable of answering some questions about this stuff in reality. But I figured, I read a lot of books, and then I met fucking werewolves. Yeah, they liked me. Like, they genuinely liked me because I'm a genuinely nice person. And the first time I realized I don't even know if werewolf is the right word, right? like be werewolf, werewolf. They were otherkin, and I like that word because it's polite. It rhymes with motherkin. I'm a mother. Stay with me here. I don't want to insult a dog, ever. Why would I? If I wanted to piss off a dog and make it my enemy, I would have to think, what the fuck am I fucking thinking? Why would I want to do that, right? And then if a dog is mad at me, well, who's the dog's master? And then a wolf is self-mastered. I've run into all the wolves I met have loved me. Yeah, I mean they've been a little nervous, right? But typically, what happens is that after I leave, they never forget me, and they miss me, and they want to see me again. Because at the basic form of God's creation, where man's best friend, dog and God, damn dog. Let's just say there's a certain instinct within an animal, which a wolf is, sometimes or not, depending on the kind of wolf. See, I'm not hip with the taxonomy for werewolves. I just simply know that werewolves is like calling them a nigger. So the fact that I knew this already and that I recognized, holy shit, I'm surrounded by 4 people. I ran into them over the span of the last 2 months, and this is the first time I've seen them all together, and I'm not on drugs, and I made my way away from them politely and resolved not to get messed with in their business at all, because they were toughs, and they were just as happy to rip me apart as they were to be my friend. And because they already were my friend, they let me know. That was my one fucking warning with that situation. And I did exactly the right thing. I wasn't scared. I was a little nervous, a little scared. You know how they say that it is said that a dog can smell fear? Well, I didn't wet my pants, right? No. But I was afraid that I was wrong and they weren't, right? I mean, it was more like I didn't want to offend them. So I removed myself from the scene so I could reestablish my bearings and think, how the fuck did I not notice that for 2 months? Because they all had pointy teeth, they had shiny eyes, they had a desire to nuzzle my flesh, and then I suddenly thought about all these other encounters I've had in the previous years. This happened when I was in my 30s. No, not in my 30s. It happened after I got hit by a car that was trying to kill me, that may have killed me, that sent me to heaven and then brought me back down. I don't know precisely what exactly happened. What I did know was that it was none of my business to talk about, and I had the option of politely leaving the area and being left alone, which is what I ultimately ended up doing, because not because I was scared of them. Fuck, I'd want to fucking jump in the puddle of mud with them and roll around and ask them to go back and forth so I could watch them change. If I knew they were friends, right? If I knew that was something they were comfortable with. I don't know. Does it take food resources? Do they have to pay a dime to the werewolf god to fucking go back and forth? I don't know. I'd love to talk about that. Haven't been in those kinds of establishments where I'm allowed to ask those kind of questions politely. And I think it's very important to be polite in that what I just said, these are all funny jokes. Since I established ahead of time that I'm being funny about it, I think we can all hear the terms and notes of fear in my voice. They're not artificial. Like I'm hoping that a fucking werewolf doesn't come down to my house and like come out of eagle form and then walk forward and say, "Hi, I'm a shaman from World of Warcraft, but I'm for real. Can I come in and drink all your liquor?" Probably not, because if that happened, it wouldn't be what I'm talking about. These are just examples. I would like to be polite, and so I've always been polite, and that's the most polite thing to do, is just leave and go. But even then, I wasn't afraid of them, because frankly, after growing up in public school in a thuggy piggy paradise like I did, being ripped from limb in front of a crowd, like the warm-up act to William Wallace and Braveheart, that would be preferable to going back to high school again. I wasn't afraid, but I was afraid that I was being rude. And then I was afraid that I would say something and then appear to be insane. And since I had assumed that they were some kind of law enforcement people, it would make sense that law enforcement and werewolves would go hand in hand. And that's a connection that I didn't make until now, out loud. Before that, I suddenly realized, oh yeah, they probably were all cops, right? I wouldn't want to run around saying, "Hey, you see those guys over there? Those are werewolves and they're cops. Get them." I would never do that. I would never finger anybody. Well, I would digitally manipulate a female, which I read about in The Joy of Sex at age 15. Since then, I've done it a few times. I've learned that it's a constant learning process, and it's one in which one wants to be polite. One would have manicured nails. One would wash their hands. One would not stick them in after putting them into somebody else's hands or whatever. God, I've had a lot of experiences. Anyway, not everybody has the kinds of experiences that I've had, because I don't think most people could handle getting surprise a pack of other kid who are going to eat you if you don't say the right things. Because either they were going to decide to eat me, which would be quite possible to do if somebody started telling those kind of jokes a little much, right? Or if they, just whatever. If they get orders from high command, like if you're a person with superhuman hearing, you don't really need to have a bone phone installed in your head. You don't really need to have a walkie-talkie. Or if you're a person who has telepathy, you don't need to have a box to get orders from your boss. Okay, so I was at a gas station. I was standing outside a car. A friend of mine said, "Let's go here," not like it was a setup at all. And then I got there and I saw 3 people come, and I was happy to see all of them because I liked them all. And I didn't know they all knew each other until I saw them smiling with glistening teeth. And in that second, oh, okay, bye. And then since then, I haven't gone out and looked for them. Not at all. I mean, I have no reason to hang out with animals that can turn back and forth. Do you remember that show, Manimal, in the 80s? God, it was fucking tacky. But I remember watching that when I was a very young man. And it was an exquisitely horrible show. And I would never want to learn anything else about that kind of experience in life unless I talked to somebody who could actually do it and it was in a polite environment. Because I don't have any desire to become like a dog at all. I don't have any desire to mate with a wolf or a car or a computer. There's only one person that I wish to mate with, and that's who's playing chess. Where's my chess happen? Mate in chess. I could be happily tutor to an entire pack of werewolves in the areas of chess and how to appropriately approach an IRS agent. Those are the only 2 things I could do for werewolves. Conversely, a whole bunch of wolves could tell me a whole bunch of stuff. Like I've always wanted to know. I would trust them to tell me the truth or to kill me instantly. Either way, I mean, at this point, I'm 50. I don't want to know how you find the town werewolf guard easily. I know how to find drugs, sort of. Technically, I know how to find anything because I could just ask God. But it never came upon me to thought, oh, I wonder how I find the werewolves. God, can you direct me to the werewolves? Never. Why would I ask? Well, I never have. That's part of the reason why I've been selected as such a advanced, both in level and sphere of influence, diplomat. People that I rely on. No, it's true. I'm a diplomat. Kind of like Jean-Luc Picard, except I don't have a spaceship anymore because it got stolen. But I'm kidding. I never actually had one of those. And then I don't know if Tubal Cain is a werewolf or not. I don't know if he's. I don't know what he's got going on. I don't know how he manifests. I don't know if he walks and talks. I know nothing about Tubal Cain other than one time I thought I've heard a voice in my dream that's called my name and asked me to come upstairs. Very insistent. And I instantly woke up and jumped upstairs and said, Dad, what's up? What's up? And my father was asleep on the couch. Well, asleep in a drunken stupor. He was doing that. And I never had any sort of follow-up at all after that. There was no other person. I saw no sign. I didn't hear another voice. I know that it was more of a connection at the time because I was there in my dream, and it was power. It wasn't about the stairs. It wasn't about getting up. It was about you were coming with me. And it wasn't like an emergency thing, but it was urgent because like, you need to do this now. There was no question that I did it as fast as I could. And I woke up from a dream and did that. And I thought it was my dad, and it wasn't. And then I just gave up. This was years ago, right? What's that? E-Y. I'm not going to sing right now. Tubal Cain says it would be very rude. And if I called him, he says I can call him Tubal Caney. Tubal Caney? Really? Oh, he says he likes it. Okay, that's. I have a pet name with Tubal Cain. Okay, if a wolf comes out of the darkness while I'm changing a broken tire in the middle of the night and starts growling, that's Tubal Cain. He'll be playing a joke on me. And I know this because he's telling me how it's going to work while I'm talking to you. I can carry on 2 conversations at once. Can't you? Maybe you don't have your moon born in Gemini. I don't know. For whatever reason, this has been my experience in life. And I've never, ever planned or practiced or thought that this was going to be my day-to-day. I don't think that I'm insane. I really don't. I don't believe that Tubal-Cain is dead, but I do believe that the historical Tubal-Cain and the one who's alive now, same guy. I don't know where he is. I don't need to. I've got an... Ooh, ow. Something just flew into my ear. Ugh. I think a drone just hit me in the ear. Weird. So just so you know, there are restrictions on someone like me. For one thing, I pay attention and I listen and I obey. If I were to be in a situation where I'm walking in the woods with Tubal-Cain, I would warn him if I saw something happen that was potentially bad or alarming. Hopefully I'm not going to get in that situation where I'm going to ask him a lot of dumb questions. Hey, did it hurt when you got your ball back? Which one hurt more, when you lost it or... Yeah, that's funny once, but I wouldn't... The guy's been around. I mean, I would not want to take too much familiarity with him. And I'm sure it wouldn't... I don't know how many people of you listening have ever hung around a royal. The guy's royal. Apparently I am too, which is... I don't know if that's a big deal. Royal doesn't really mean what people might think it does. I don't have blue blood. Or maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I woke up on one day and I went, bing! I don't know, because I never went to a mystery school. I never went to a pancake breakfast. I never got sucked off at the end of a fucking Catholic catechism class, or at the beginning, or ever. I never advanced through various knowledge gates of initiatory cycles. Fucking never. I fell off my trike. I died. I woke up and I was looking at the sky and there was it white? I guess it was cloudy that day. I walked home. I'm covered in blood. My mother opens the door and she looks down at me and I'm covered in blood from a scalp wound. And she screamed, and that's all I remember of that. And that's how my nose got messed up. And that's why nobody really noticed. Nobody really noticed. Nobody really knew that I wasn't a fucking idiot until fairly recently. Because if I had been known as a really clever guy, I would have been probably not as easily advanced past certain hazards a man will encounter when he gets older. There was this fellow who arranged things so that I was exposed to exhaust from a car that was driving by as we were about to turn left. Like you're in a road that isn't in the UK. By the way, you're in a chiral universe. You're not in Britain, probably. But teleporting from here to Britain, teleporting from here to another reality. That's the kind of thing that I would expect Tubal-Cain could teach me. He's not agreeing to teach me that shit yet. But that's the kind of stuff that I would like to learn. So, yon punylings, who have been keeping a wide berth from ye old Master Kuzi, have been doing so for a reason. I can learn that kind of shit. Not just, oh, he's smart enough. Fucking, I'm sure anybody can learn to teleport. The fucking yokels I've seen do it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could learn it. But in order to learn it, I would have to, number one, qualify. Number two, have permission. Number three, know who to ask permission from. Okay, I'm nowhere close to any of that shit. But the fact that I know those answers, hey, I might be ahead of you on that score. Okay, I don't want to show off too much, but I did want to take notice that I got a whole bunch of people blowing up my phone saying, "Oh my God, this." I don't know which of them are robots and which of them are human. My ability to sense a life form doesn't work quite that well when it's being intentionally scrambled, much like the heightened sense of smell that a superhuman or an enhanced human, however, for whatever reason a human can smell, let's just say they're better than smelling than other people. And if they're relying on that sense of smell and they are intentionally driven through a cloud of exhaust that has some sort of compound that makes their sense of smell go away, like I was this one night, then they're not going to be a very effective werewolf. Or if there's some magician who has some sort of vapor magic where they inhale something, and the odor and the such makes them do something. These things exist. And what also exists are very, very talented, dedicated, and skilled and well-trained dudes who don't want to get fucking messed up with vampires and werewolves accidentally. Now, I don't know what they do about vampires. I'm a paladin, so the vampires just like they just auto go away. I don't have to deal with that shit. If I see junior vampires that aren't like that, they're polite, right? They're real polite. They might get pissy and yell, but they're not gonna fuck with me. They're vampires. I'm a paladin. They can't even nothing. They can't do nothing to me. And then I don't want to have any sort of conflict. I swear to Christ, I didn't know there really were such things, and I still don't know. But I'm sure there's necromancy. And I'm sure that if Tubal Cain wanted to raise an army of the fucking dead that looked like vampires and talked like vampires, but were actually Kim Cattrall in disguise with Tubal Cain's mark of the beast on their fucking tramp stamp, I'm sure he could do that within a week. He is the primary artificer of all of reality and creation. He's the best goddamn blacksmith that's ever lived. That's Tubal Cain, and he's still alive. I don't know if he's died or translated dimensions. These are not polite questions to ask somebody. Okay, it's a big deal. It's an honor, and I'm flattered that the man showed up at all. I don't know if he did in my mind or my memory or in my imagination. In any case, the mark of Cain, it's a big deal. I'm not a vampire, as far as I know. I do know that I've been intentionally inflicted with a bioweapon that if one were to test me, or rather my blood, for marks of vampirism, I got those. Yeah. And then that also could be this other thing. I don't think I have that one. And then I could conceivably do some sort of paladin thing and cleanse myself, right? In reality, that actually works. I don't know how to do it. No one's taught it to me. I don't need to know it. Consequently, it has not been shown to me. I did not. Oh, God. God says that when I asked to get into that one's pants, apparently becoming a paladin was the only way to do it, which is not a surprise to me, right? More on that later, right? But I'm not trying to get anybody's pants today. That and that person, I've moved on from those pants. Moved on to a place where the people involved are mature enough to realize that if I'm going to have sex with the werewolf, probably the rest of the werewolves are going to want to have sex with the paladin too. You know, it's not just a one thing. The whole concept of monogamy, it's kind of basic, right? Like extra basic. So I don't think there's much fighting about who's going to get to have sex with me. They're probably fighting about that on another dimension outside my awareness, the way humans do. And if they want to imagine, if they want to have a dream where they imagine they're a werewolf and they fight over Michael Koozy's shiny dick, well, it's more matte, right? It's not. It doesn't have an ablative coating. Thanks, Jew boy. Thanks. Yeah, that's Jew boy. I get to say these kind of jokes partially because it was funny, but also because a spirit just came in. But also because I have a license to tell jokes about Jews. Soon enough, I think, if I babble into the microphone long enough and start telling the really good Jew jokes, I'm assuming that my credentials will hold intact. I'm not going to summon either of the kings of the Jews at all. They don't need to be summoned. And then it would probably be a grand embarrassment to them if I accidentally summoned them without realizing that, shit, they'd have to actually come. And then if they got here and I'd say, oh, hey guy, I just want to know, have you ever looked at a circumcised dick before? I mean, I know you're circumcised, but have you ever seen a real penis from a real man that's been cut? And then have you seen that? I got this little, David, come back. That is a joke that I'm not going to tell. Again, today. Unless somebody calls in. I don't have a phone. I've met the presence of the historical David. He filled the room with gold and light and love. The real King David. He's cool. I like Tubal Cain a little bit better, mostly because David's kind of younger, right? And then I don't have shit all to do with the Jews. Nothing. I mean, I don't live with Jews. I don't hang out with Jews. I don't seek out Jews. I don't have a fascination for Jews. I have access to parts of their intellectual property, let's say, that I learned on my own. Some things I learned on my own after developing them myself. Some things I invented myself, and then they had already invented it, and they were like, hey, why does that hung angry nigger knowing how to do that? Oh, really? Why does that hung angry nigger know how to read? Oh, he taught himself? Yeah, that kind of shit. So I've been kind of in a special place for my entire life, and my grandfather was killed, I'm going to say murdered, on the day he got his first Social Security check after being checked over for not just ticks, but his heart every day. Okay, you got to get up again and exercise. We want to see if your heart still works. Okay. That's the story I heard. Right? He was dead before I was born. My other grandfather, my father's grandfather, dead before I was born at the hands of the Soviet Red Army when they came to take all the boys and rape all the women. The woman that my father introduced me to as his mother, fuck if I know it's the same one. No way. I don't speak Hungarian. He didn't want to teach me because my father didn't want to be overheard by his son who had an IQ of 176 tested. I can see why. He did teach me to curse because he had this one curse that he said, "Ooh, I don't even know if it was a Hungarian curse. Maybe it might have been a Jew curse that he was taught to say to me when I started to misbehave. I don't fucking know because I wasn't around and I didn't get a chance to ask my parents, and it's none of my damn business what happened to my parents before I was born. I bet it was fucking awesome though, because somebody wanted to see me and my mother said no, and my mother's sister called her fatty. Fatty? What the hell kind of a crazy woman would tell a woman whose name was Patsy that she thought she should be called Fatty? And then I never heard her say that, but when my mother told me that was the case, I could tell from her voice, wow, that's a terrible, oh, that's awful. And my mother had a weight problem all her life. I had a weight problem all my life. I don't really have I have a waiting problem. I'm fucking waiting for something, but my mother didn't die fat, though. She died with the feeding tube they installed in her tummy, and not a svelte physique, but she looked good when she died. Well, she was dead, right? That's not good. But she had the thighs of a cheerleader. She shrank down because she got fed through a tube in her tummy because she couldn't swallow anymore because she had a paralyzed nervous system. And then she couldn't be saved because they had discovered that her nervous system was burning itself out. And mysteriously, they didn't notice this until it was too late. And of course, I believe there's some sort of healing ritual that a person could go and say, okay, you got a bing. Oh, look, all your secondary nerves are regrowing. That's amazing. Wow. Oh, look, there's the Captain America symbol on our chest. Okay, we got to spray that off. That's contractually available. We can use a super soldier serum for a minute to regrow this for this exact purpose only, but we're not allowed to have anybody know that your mother's getting the same juice that we gave to Captain America, and now I'm going to flash you. That's not what happened, because my mother was Wonder Woman, right? I don't think that they have flashies like they do in the movies, but they have things. And when I noticed that the guy was pleased and relieved that I noticed that I couldn't smell anymore, and I said first thing, "What does that? I can't smell anything. That's weird. Is that weird? I've never smelled exhaust like that before." I'm an honest, innocent kid in that sense. I'm with a stranger who I will say had a foreign accent, but he was a native. I have a funny name. I don't have a foreign accent. My father did, though. He talked like Laka from fucking Taxi. You might think that two such people would be instantly friends, and we kind of were, right? We both had the same experience of growing up in a country run by fucking savage, bloody savages, and the men who keep the company of wolves, and the shamans who feed them, and the mothers who take care for them, and a bunch of old white men who think they run the fucking show. Fuck you, Congress. You don't fucking know jack or shit about what's going on. You know that there's stuff, you take a bribe, you get the seat, you fucking stand up, sit down, you talk about your shit on TV. You motherfuckers don't know piss or diddly squat about the real world. Okay? I don't know. But the difference is between you 555 fuckers and me, is that I know that I don't know. And that if God told me to, I don't know, work to form a constitutional convention to rewrite the fucking thing, I would do it. Whereas I don't know how the fuck the United States is going to go on with a number of glaring security holes in its makeup, as well as the ongoing blood feud between certain relatives of George Washington and he himself, and certain members of the lineage of the woman I was knocking boots with for 5 years. I was surprised that she didn't seem too pleased when I revealed to her that I had been visited by George Washington in a prophetic dream in 2007. It makes sense now, though. I think one of this woman's answers tried to stab him or something and he tried to shoot her. I think so. I don't know. I might be making that part up. What happened between George Washington and my girlfriend is completely off the table. And then what happened between any president and my girlfriend? I bet it's a badass story, though. Holy fuck. I couldn't believe that she didn't believe me when I said Trump's not going to win. Because I knew. And then she thought it was a lock. And she had also believed that I was kidding when I said, oh, you better call me if you do that. By that point, she had just decided that I was just some sort of lunatic with a brain tumor. No, honey, no, I'm good. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? That was me accidentally trying to contact a woman. Did you hear that? I just tried to contact her. That was an accident. Please, court, please forgive me. Okay, the court acknowledges. In addition to being funny, that is my life right now. There are 2 contact violations. 2. I'm guilty dead to rights, for sure. No question. Okay, so the law in Washington State is if you get bit by a vampire 3 times, you've got to live with an Algonquin for 6 days. And, oh, wait, sorry. That's not the rule. That's a different page. Wait, move the Seeing Stone over. I got the wrong page on the fucking Joseph Smith book. It's not like that. I'm just making a joke. But I'd like to point out that nobody knows what I just said is true and which isn't true. And obviously I know a few things about how things are done. Just a few. And it didn't occur to me until later that the reason why he was so tense is because he didn't know what the fuck I was. The guy who was driving the car, who intentionally waited and was intentionally waiting for his partner, his teammate. Yeah, I had to have a team. There was somebody coming down the road the other way, and he was going to turn left to go that way. And he stopped to turn left, turn on his blinkers, and he was very casual about it. And I could tell that everybody was tense. I was hot as fuck, but big deal. That's normal for me. And he couldn't tell for sure that I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was a fun time. I have rarely met many people who were that fucking cool. This guy was a badass. He was sent to check me out after I made a huge fucking annoyance of myself. And I kind of had planned on that, really. I didn't know just how annoying I was. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that, oh, fuck. Wow. I don't know anything for sure. Other than that, I'm not a werewolf. I'm not a man wolf. I'm not a manimal. I'm not a shapeshifter. I'm a kid. I'm a boy. I'm 50 years old, but 50 years old is nothing. I don't know who I was right before this life, but I sure as shit wasn't remembering things. I mean, by now I would remember. I haven't done a past life regression. I don't need to. I'm having a ball here, and I had a good time with that friend of mine up to a certain point. But eventually, it was determined that whatever the fuck I had going on, they didn't need to have me being friends and smoking dope with a highly trained gang of dudes who had access to special powers and abilities that they usually use for tracking down scumbag rapists, murderers, and killers. I mean, that makes sense now, right? But at the time, nobody knew what the deal was, and there apparently has been in the past a guy who's been running around being a douchebag, looking like me from time to time. I guess that's not hard to do because I am bald. Ding. No, I have a tonsure. I'm not bald. A tonsure like Jean-Luc Picard. Excuse me, like Patrick Stewart. And when I walk into a room, all the ladies' clothes just fall right off the floor. So there's some connections there. And I didn't really realize just how much of a diplomat I was going to be able to become until fairly recently. But I guess y'all pissed off the fucking dudes, right? Yes, I am. Quiet, please. Who the fuck is who's vice president now? No, it's not really Kamala. Are you telling me Kamala right now is vice president? Is she in the ceiling? No. I don't have that kind of, I'm not going to have a remote view into the fucking House of Congress where they're having an emergency session where Michael Clifford Cousy is announcing that he's friends with Tubal Cain. If that's not the kind of shit that gets the fucking Congress to fucking convene to start talking about what the fuck they're going to do, I don't know what the fuck is, because I'm not kidding. Oh, what's that? Wow. An invisible Tubal Cain just teleported in and tugged on my robe and then flew away. My hand to God, I don't know if that's a true statement or not, but that's kind of what it felt like. I'm in a haunted church on consecrated, hallowed ground, burial and battleground. And I hear there's stuff going on. I've been sitting in this fucking church for 2 fucking years. No, year and a half. A year and a half in this goddamn forsaken church, which is actually nice. It's got some feet. There's some advantage. It's like living in a magical skiff. It's like a magical boat where it's different in here than it might be out there. Not necessarily because it's like a different plane of reality, but legally it's a different kind of place. It's military jurisdiction. It's fucked off land that you couldn't do anything else with. It's a house built on top of a hill that's covered in grass, and the hill consists of old mining tailings, which are chunks of rock that they found when they were digging a road through a mountainside that had, oh, look, it's shiny. Okay, well, some geologists would be there and they'd say, oh, this is that, and they'd move the rocks over, and then some rocks, they just go, fuck, it's a rock. Other rocks are like, oh, shit. Oh, if we put carbon blah, blah, and put that, we might get some molybdenum prime or whatever. Like, that's what rockhounds do. And that's cool. And then what happens is after they build the road and they finish the initial going through, the really talented rockhounds, they go with the crew to find more rocks. Rockhounds are one step away from a crack addict. They love mining, like tubal cane. I don't love it that much. I think it's cool. I think that I panned for gold before a couple times. I know how it's done. I've had the experience. I haven't dated a Girl Scout ever, or a daughter of Job, or a millennial. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm currently in love with a millennial, but that's not important right now. There's a Tubal Cain. He's not a girl. Although I guess Tubal Cain could probably learn how to turn into a fucking 19-year-old cheerleader with a tiny penis and a really huge asshole, and then get some art gum and some dinner bell makeup paint and put a fake anus on him, and then he could fool me into thinking that he had a twat and an asshole and a clitoris. I guess some people think that kind of thing is fun to do. I mean, I don't like to pretend I'm something I'm not. I don't. It makes me feel like a liar, which isn't bad if I agree ahead of time with myself. Okay, I'm gonna enter a drama position and then say, okay, I'm gonna play a role and I'm gonna intentionally act as though I'm something I'm not. That's what an actor does. Okay, I'm not acting. I'm not going to say that I have the disembodied voice of Tubal Cain telling me what to do. That would be inefficient because he doesn't have to watch over me like a fucking 30-year-old. I can just be told what to do and then be left alone. And if Tubal Cain fucking told me to do it, I would fucking get it done. That's been demonstrated, right? Not everybody could say the same. And this has been going on long enough that nobody really needs to argue about it, okay? If I'm wrong, the will of the divine will make that clear. I've been wrong about things before. I've never spoken openly about the guy. I remember that I was going to go see a location that was related to the Tubal Cain legend when I was speaking to a certain 2-ball, 3-strike, 4 hits on the glass stick and you're out, Madam Bovariarty. That's a terrible code name. All right, anyway, I had a girlfriend and we were laughing about Tubal Cain. I'm not part of that scene, but I know of the scene, okay? And I can see why somebody would want somebody who wasn't a fucking Freemason to be a goddamn diplomat for alien creatures. I wouldn't trust those pancake swill-eating motherfuckers with the pigs in the blanket for as long as you could fucking hold your breath. Not because they're, rude or evil. Some people have a bad opinion of such people. But I would not want humanity to be represented by a system of secret levers and pulleys and knobs that got busted open in the 40s or 50s or something. I can't remember what the deal was, but I shouldn't have to remember it. I haven't been told that story. But last I heard, there is the George Washington Monument. They built it in, they completed it. It took them like 40, 50 years, and it was a big deal. Kids from all over the country were sending in their pennies and their nickels and dimes. Back when you could send money in the mail. Well, at least that's the story. In any case, there's a huge, and I mean fucking big, statue of George Washington stand on top of something in the middle of the country. And it would appear that once they tricked everybody into helping them build it, they didn't immediately move on to the next location, which needs to be built, the Crazy Horse Monument in Montana. I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one. I was going to look forward to going to go see those. I wanted to see what do these things fucking exist, really? Because the story goes, they couldn't finish the Crazy Horse statue monument. It's fucking cool. It's cool as fuck. He's standing against the whole mountain, and then he's like halfway in the mountain. It's like he's walking out of the mountain, and he's pointing, and he's probably pointing at the fucking statue of George Washington, because these people didn't really care for each other. And I can see why that might have been the case. Okay? I don't know what you know about George Washington, but he didn't chop down that cherry tree. He chopped down that fucking totem pole. That's the end of that story. And 2 if by land, 1 if by sea. Or I mean, the other way around. Which is it? I heard these stories briefly in public school, but they didn't progress any further. And I bet if I went to a private school that didn't have any knowledge of masonry at all, I wouldn't have heard about Freemasonry either. But I was 19 years old before I ever heard the concept. And I grew up in a thuggy-piggy town with thuggy-piggy kids who teased me and mocked me and worked relentlessly to destroy my life from behind the scenes. And to this day, they're still doing it. Oh, I think they're done now. I mean, I think I've graduated. I'm not mad about any of this. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. I don't remember thinking that I didn't know if I had just died or not until 2010, when a planned assassination hit. It had to be. Somebody didn't like what I was doing with my time and was concerned about what I was going to be doing in the future. And I don't blame them either, because I was gonna get involved in the weed legalization stuff. Did you hear weed's legal? Cannabis. Actually, weed, depending on what you call it, it's not like I expected. I thought they'd just like have, packs of weed like you have packs of cigarettes. No. They gotta have each one barcoded. Each one has a tag. They gotta write down what they give it, what they do it, where it goes. It's pretty serious. And the reason why is because there's a lot of different kinds of weed. And it turns out there's a lot of different kinds of smells in the world. And a person who was a werewolf, or an otherkin, or a person who could change back and forth from dog mode to human mode, and had never ever told anybody because his parents were killed in a car accident when he was young, and then he grew up in foster care, and then he found out at puberty that he could fucking turn into a wolf. Okay, that guy would probably never tell anybody. Never. He would probably grow up and not know that that was happening. And then when he found out that he could, it probably would be a little while before he would be able to find another one. If dogs could bark at the moon and ask the moon to turn back into humans so that they could go help a woman cross the street, a dog might. A cat wouldn't. So I don't know what the deal is with otherkin. I do know they exist. They definitely exist. That's not one now, but every single one of them that I've ever met is my friend. I haven't got a clue in the world where I would find them. He lied. I don't know what their names are, said Socrates, the guy who did not teach Aristotle. I'm not a person who easily gives up information in certain categories. I don't know shit all about the fucking other kid. Have I fucked another kid? I gotta have me a werewolf woman. I gotta someday. I'm not, now that I know that they're out there. Well, I'm not gonna like, go sniffing around. Excuse me. Are you a dog girl? I'm not gonna do that. I don't have to do that. Apparently the wolf women know me for a while and watch me from a distance and are finally ready to fucking jump on me and fuck me to death, if that's necessary. And if I had to be executed, I would absolutely choose death by werewolf fuck. No question. Because it would be the longest buildup. I wouldn't eat a last meal. I would be the last meal. I wouldn't have to go anywhere. They would take me. I would go into the room and it would be a fuck den, and then I would come out through their stool. They would consume every last drop of me. They would fuck me to death and they would eat me. Of course they would. That sounds like a shit. Is there a crime? No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. That would be disrespectful. But if I were to suddenly be accused of a crime and I needed to be executed, absolutely, death by werewolf fuck. However, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be asked to die anytime soon, given that I don't know how many people you have out here who can hear things that I've been hearing. I don't know how many of you are friends with guys who have hung out with dudes who have had dinner with other men that may or may not be president, right? I don't have a whole lot of awareness of my connections to the rest of the world. I do know that all of the cool people have heard of me. For one thing, my name is a colossal joke. For another, a lot of people don't know that my name really is Melchizedek. And the word Melchizedek, it kind of sounds like Mal-Kuzi-Dick, doesn't it? Bad. Mal means bad. Mal, male, male, Mal, M-A-L, Malcolm. I'm not going to say her name, but her middle name was not Mary, and her last name was not Blank Mason, right? I didn't know that I was hooked up with these fucking people on both sides, both the real ones and the ones that came in and killed my grandfather, attacked my mother with a car crash, as I was attacked later, basically raped and trafficked my mother's sister, who I'm sure was a bitch already, and I don't think that necessarily approved it, other than in every way possible, other than with that side of her family. She was born on one of those flip-floppy days, like a Gemini, everybody has a twin, but people usually think that Geminis have like two sides of personality, but they don't. They just they have 64, and then you generally only see two at once because you're a two-dimensional thinker, you moron. I'm not at all mad at these people. I love my aunt. I knew that she was going to be pissed off some of the things I did, and one of the things I did was punk her, because I asked her a long time after I first heard of the Masons. I said, "Excuse me, Auntie M, Auntie M, Auntie M, God, Auntie M, is that a twister? No, that's a rum and coke. Go away." No, it's not like it. She lied to me about Freemasonry. I said, "Do you know, what do you think about," I don't want to repeat the conversation. It would be impolite, because she fucking lied her ass off to me, to my face. And then she later went to court and said, "Yes, I do solemnly swear and attest that I promised my sister I would help after she died. So help me God." Chop. She did that. And then when my mother died, well, she did help in a way, insofar as I figured some things out very smoothly and very delightfully. I'm not going to talk about that because it is really rude. It was a traumatic event for her. She thought that she was going to be able to use her necromantic powers to put her sister into my body and then leave the whole old one behind. I don't know. I really don't. If ever a woman could be a necromancer in secret and plan to take her sister's spirit and implant it in their sister's kid's brain and kick out the young one, and if there ever was a woman that could do that, that's my ex's mother, who I think has done it twice and would love to do it to me, but I got shields. I'm a paladin. True story. And then my mother's sister, I don't know what she's going to do, but she has met her match with me. I don't know if she's dead or not, but I apologized to her and she apologized to me, and it was done through a channel of communication I will not reveal. And my mother, after she died, she was able to talk to me for a month. Blah, 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 blah. She was like a chatty aunt, because she was. She couldn't talk to me for, I think, 3 or 4 months before she died very well at all, because her throat was slowly being paralyzed. And it was too bad, because I had a great time taking care of my mother. I loved spending time with her. My dad was dead. He had a bunch of money. Woo! She signed the papers to go into hospice. And from that moment forward, I could have pushed her on a cliff and it wouldn't have been murder. I literally could have rolled her over to a cliff, hauled her out in full view of witnesses, and kicked that bitch over the side. And it would not have been murder, because that's what hospice care is. I would never have done that. No. I wouldn't have done that for her sister either, because that would have been a great way for me to kill her sister if I had done that to her sister first, and then fooled her into thinking that the necromantic spell worked. Yes, Anti-Master, I have just killed your sister. And then, the crab lady would be on the floor. And then I would then pick her up like Luke Skywalker did with Darth Sidious, and then throw that bitch over the side. And then it would be the two sisters bound in eternal torment, fighting each other and squabbling over the scraps in the afterlife. And I would be reigning supreme as master of the two crazy women from Bellingham who fucking got involved in I don't fucking know what. But my mother died thin after her sister called her fatty. And her sister, my mother's sister, died, I don't know. What is dead can never die. And after I found out there was going to be a thing called a bioweapon in the end of 2019, I sent an email to the side of the family that had already abdicated, because after they discovered that I'm not an idiot and there was other money that I could fight them with, they chose to abdicate from the position of executor and such. And I had to get a stranger who I like. And he didn't know what to make of me at first, but he's figured out that I'm fairly smart because I didn't have to have the trust. My mother had to have the trust, and she insisted because she didn't think I could take care of myself with her sister alive or anybody. I mean, she didn't know what was going to happen, but she knew that I didn't know jack or shit about what the hell was really going on. And I still don't, but now I know about various things that are kind of frightening. Like, holy fuck, I've been growing up around these people. Growing up. I didn't see them often. I mean, I was kind of estranged. They kept me away from their side of the family because they knew I was smart. They didn't know how smart. They knew I was smart enough to smoke weed and think that beer is stupid, but they didn't realize that I was smart enough to be baiting them. And I was smart enough to figure out that they were all addicted to meth, but I don't know if they are, and I was smart enough not to try to figure that out. And the day they made cannabis recreationally legal in Washington State, I was very happy. I went to one of those dab bars and walked in. For a couple of weeks, you could go in and they would serve you up dabs. That didn't last long because they figured out pretty fast, oh, there's some liability there. But I sat down next to a guy and he said, hey, are you so-and-so? And I said, yeah, that's me. I'm Cooter. I used to go by Cooter. Anyway, when he found out who I was, he said to me, you come back tomorrow, I'll tell you some stories about about your family. The carpetbaggers. Yeah, I didn't know shit. Jack or shit. And I thought about it, and I thought to myself, that's disrespectful. If there's something to hear, and let me tell you, there's got to be something fucking awesome to hear about that fucking side of the family, because I haven't heard anything about them since my mother's sister's spirit told me that she forgave me and I forgave her. She was a little worried. She was afraid that I was really mad at her. But no, I really wasn't. But when she said to me that I didn't know what I was talking about when her sister had just died, and I told her, Mom's going to die soon, and then she said, well, I'm going to go home. My mother timed her death at the exact moment her sister walked into her home on the other side of the lake, like 20-minute drive. So she's leaving the house, and I'm like looking at her. In my head, I'm thinking, are you actually leaving? Because your sister's dying. I just told you she's dying. I'm saying, I'll say it one more time. Hello, Auntie M? Yeah, I think your sister's about to die. Are you sure you want to leave? She leaves. I call on the phone. She says, oh, hi, Michael, I just got back. And I said, well, I'm sorry. I start giggling. For me, it was vacation time coming up. For her, it was a shattering descent into the hell of reality where she suddenly realized that she just got punked by her own sister. Because obviously her sister knew when she was going to die on a certain level, and I knew, and I guess she didn't think that that could happen. Well, that's probably why my mother spoke to me after being dead, and not to her sister. I told her that I could hear her, and it wasn't like hearing like this, but it was communication. It was my mother talking to me. Nobody told me that when my parents died, I could talk to him for a month. I guess there's like a week. There's some fat boy Jew told me about this paradigm system. And since I didn't know him that well, but I know him well enough to know that I can call him now Fat Boy Jew because P-H-A-T. P-H-A-T. P-hat. P-hat Jew. Pope hat Jew. Fat boy. That's what that word. The first time I heard the word fat used that way, I didn't know what it meant. And the first time I just said the word Fat Boy Jew, is that one word or is that 3 words? I think it's 4 words, technically. 4 words. Anyway, Fat Boy Jew, who I'm referring to in my mind, doesn't like being made fun of. Oh, no. He doesn't have a thick skin about that kind of thing. But we are both circumcised. He's circumcised because that's what happens on this planet. And I'm circumcised because somebody explained to my father why he wanted to make a mortal enemy of his son. Because until I found out why I was circumcised, I was a little irate, a little sensitive as to the whole, why the fuck are you all fucking cutting the ends off of baby dicks? It's a good question to ask in church if you ask me. I no longer care why they cut the ends off of all dicks. Jesus, this fucking planet. I don't need to know. It's not important. It's really not important. But I eventually did find a succession of answers to explain things in my case. I'm good with it. Penis works. It would work better if it was not mutilated. Did you know there's different ways to do a circumcision? Like for example, the big difference is the person can have it done, and they fucking want to have it done. Like they say, "Hey, is it my turn yet? Can I put me at the head of the line, coach? Oh, you're gonna take that 3-year-old baby? Okay." Yes, if a person wants to be circumcised, that's a totally different thing than grab that one. He's small. He'll fit on top of the cart. Push him down the hall. I don't care if he's crying, but he'll be crying in a minute. There's different ways to cut off the end of a man's dick. Number one, he asks you. Number two, I'd wait till he's asleep, right? I'm okay with it. And I love making jokes about the entire phenomenon. Not many people have been good at it or have had license to do so. I have both. I swear to God, I got a license to kill, a license to tell, not a license to kill, a license to tell jokes about Jews. I'm not at all saying I have a license to tell killing jokes about Jews. No. Jokes that kill, those are real. Those are fucking real. There is so much technology on this planet. You punilings don't know jack or shit about any of it. Well, you know about some of it. You know about pancakes. You know about pan breaks. You know about cake fast. You know about yellow cake. You know about purple cake. You know about red cake. You know about red rum, don't you? Yeah, there's some fucking technology. Okay? I am unique amongst people right around. I can tell jokes and have a good sense of humor about it. And I'm probably not going to start crying at a state dinner where the Necromancers Guild meets and starts making jokes about cock and balls and cutting one off. I'm probably not going to start bursting into tears because I've already heard a great many horror stories about what goes on this planet. I haven't heard any stories about what happens in the last 12 hours. I guess France is on fire for some reason. Did they bring out the guillotines again? God damn it, I missed it. Hopefully there's a non-blasphemous version of that. If they resurrected the ghost of dead Queen of Planet, I can't tell the joke. I don't have a license to tell jokes about the French. Because as soon as I notice that I'm telling a joke about the French, I just surrender. But I do have a license to tell jokes about Jews because fucking ghosts of dead Jews came to me and visited me in my sleep and said, "Hey, we think you're funny, kid." More or less. Yeah. I didn't necessarily ask for a license to tell jokes about them, but it is apparently a thing that people do. And then the way that people had been doing that before was that they join an organization. And a coterie of men, a mewling gang of flunkies who had maturest attitudes of the randiest 19-year-old boys you ever met in the entire world because they had been exposed to an initiatory experience at that age, and that locked their emotional maturity level out there. So most of the guys who work in the business of telling jokes belong to such groups. I don't belong to nothing, which makes me pretty cool. It allows me to be friends with somebody like Tubal Cain and not raise too many eyebrows. It allows me to say such bold, open-faced, wildly ridiculous comments out loud to anybody and not immediately be called a liar because I'm not lying, right? I might be exaggerating a little. Maybe. Oh, and by the way, those beeps, I don't control them consciously. I'm sure on some level we are all one, so I am one and I am God. I am speaking, and all of this is under my control, under my subconscious mind. But that's just a paradigm. No, there's God. There's plenty of other God level beings as God, but there is one true God. There is the prime creator God, source of all. There's all, and then that's not even separate. That's all. All is one. One is all. It's different than any of you can actually think of. If you could think of what I'm talking about, you probably wouldn't be hearing this live because nobody's supposed to be listening to this. However, there are people who have incredibly sensitive hearing. I think there's a very, very potent man who lives nearby. I think he listens to me right now. I think he can hear me as clearly as you can hear me if you turn it up to 11. I swear. Yeah. I think that superhuman hearing exists, not just Steve Austin. I know that superhuman, what do you call smelling? Nasal, superhuman sense of smell. I don't know what the fuck they call it. I don't pay too much attention to bloodhounds. I don't think about tracking through smell at all. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a tracker. I'm a city boy, kind of. But my father grew up in a peasant village outside of Budapest in the 1930s, and he could catch pheasant running through the forest naked. And it wasn't a big deal. They all could do that. It was after World War II. He grew up. The dude he better catch him, because if he got hungry, there wasn't much else to do. That was my father's experience. So being trapped here at this haunted church, it's not that big a deal. I didn't know that I wasn't really going to be trapped per se, other than that by living here, I've become infected with a disease that shows up as vampirism, or maybe could be HIV if I allowed it to proceed. And then as a paladin, I don't really know how to cleanse myself very well. There's various things that a person needs to do that I haven't done. I've just been sitting around getting high and drinking Coke and snorting Pepsi for a while, right? Because I can. And then I figured that I wouldn't be able to live like a bachelor for very long, and that I would eventually get to see my family again. I might over the TV ways, or looking down from heaven, or fucking in a prophetic dream. I don't know. My mother came and visited. I was sleeping. I woke up and I could feel her presence in the room, and she was standing next to me, and she put her hands on my hands as they laid across my chest. I was on my back. I was in bed. I was in my bedroom. And my mother came and visited me, and she was sad, because my mother loved me, and I loved her. And boy, am I glad that she gave me this wonderful gift of a special needs trust to insulate me from the machinations of her fucking carpetbagger family. Yeah, it works. It works. The trust is well worth the money. I will probably do an discussion with that man if I can ever allow to talk to him again. If I'm ever allowed to talk to that man ever again, because I believe, I don't have confirmation of this, but I believe that what happened was my mother's sister promised my mother that she would help. When my mother died, she ran off. I didn't hear from her for a long time, and then I continued to not hear from her for a long time. And the story I heard was that she had gone to surgery for an emergency to get some sort of a procedure done to clear out all the cobwebs from her heart. Kidding, plaque they call it. They had to core out her. They had to do roto-rooter in her carotid artery, because that's what happens when you smoke cigarettes. She smoked cigarettes. That's all I ever heard directly, but she did tell me that she had been wearing dentures for a long time, and at the time I didn't immediately make the connection. Oh, she'd been attacked by a thuggy piggy super spook crew. Commonly known fact is that, oh, don't smoke that. It'll ruin your teeth. Okay, well, Pepsi will ruin your teeth. A lot of things will ruin your teeth, especially if a person is given a compound that is designed to accelerate this process. Those who know don't smoke trash. Okay, so I didn't smoke trash cigarettes when I did. I mean, I kind of did, but I smoked cigarettes for years. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. They got that vaping technology. I like it. And it doesn't have the additives. I like not having those. And there is nothing in nicotine that will make your teeth rot. It'll turn them yellow, though. And there is nothing in cocaine that will make your teeth fall out of your head. But there is something that will be added to cocaine, if a person likes that. And if they are smoking cocaine, it will make their teeth fucking crumble into dust if they're too stupid or high or not paying attention. Now, I'm not saying that my aunt liked to smoke cocaine. And if she did, then there's no way I will ever get to do it with her until she's dead and reborn in a new body. And I would love for my aunt to be reborn in the flesh of a 19-year-old girl before my mother, because I'm not going to have sex with my mother. I would bone the crap out of my cousin's mother, and she would like it because she and I are friends. The other guy, he's probably not too fond of me. He's probably a little upset. I don't know. But he might be trying to bust the trust. And if he did, I can't talk to the lawyer who wrote it for my mother because he was hired. What better choice than to hire the lawyer who wrote it in the first place? And this is actually, that's how these things are done. It's actually fairly common for one side of the family to sue each other over money when somebody dies. And in fact, that actually happened when my mother and her sister sued another part of the family when I was in my 30s, I think. I don't know what the fuck they were arguing about, but these people had wanted to see me and they couldn't. So These are not the stories that I usually tell, but I can do so diplomatically. Unlike a lot of people, Tammy Lee Bitchlips, that's not her name. It really isn't. I love Tamara. I do. She's my friend. Haven't talked to her in a while. I think she might be trapped under something heavy.
If I had my way,